Is what day is today? I guess it's Sunday. I think it's Sunday, so we'll call it Sunday. Got to the O'Reilly's last night, like I said. Dropped the thing off. I took 3/4 of a case of brake clean and de-smooged the engine, so it's not dripping. Well, it's dripping there, but yeah, the whole underside is pretty well coated, so I hosed down the whole thing. It was quite the ecological disaster. I'm pretty sure I heard Greta Thunberg wailing. Anyway, woke up this morning. Daniel and Brittany have gas tank issues, so instead of having a big transfer tank and just deadheading all the way out here with a couple of fuel stops, they're running on the small tank and have had to stop about every 2 hours. So the way I figure it, no matter how fast you are to gas stop, from the time you hit the off ramp to the time you get on and merge again, it's 20 minutes. So it's about they said every 2 hours. It's a 20-hour drive, so that's 10 gas stops. So 10 times 20 minutes is 200 minutes, and I'll let you do the 60-minute math to figure out how many extra hours they added on. But that's all right, because I woke up this morning and it was bitterly cold and it was snow flurrying, so I stayed in bed for a little bit. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning now. The sun is up. It's bearable outside. Yesterday's wind died down, so I'm going to start taking this thing apart in preparation for them getting here. All right, so we've got the carb off, the electronics disconnected, radiator is out, about to pull the power steering pump, and then tackle the exhaust manifolds and motor mounts, and then the bell housing bolts, which I'm dreading. But anyway, I wanted to take a small moment and just talk about this little detail. Battery trays in these things are usually stamped sheet metal. They're adequate. This one's home built. This is the best home-built battery box I've ever seen. Dude took the time to radius the edges. It's all stiff angle iron. Like I said, radiused edges. It's got a support leg down here that goes to the frame. Real beefy mount on the core support. Only thing I can see different, I'd have rounded that off, but this thing is well done and definitely overkill. So obviously I love it. And then unfortunately we've got that piece of automotive engineering, keeping the power steering hoses out of the power steering belt. So yeah, somewhere between A and B, something got lost. All right, back to it. One other thing we did for this whole trip is we got an extra battery. Sadly, they're about $100 now for the cheap ones, but we bought a battery and a battery box so that we could run a power inverter, so that we could plug our phones in and my laptop in at night and keep them charged up. This was completely Andrew's idea, and it was a damn good one, because now we're sitting here in a parking lot and the battery that we've got is kind of questionable. This one's fresh, it's good, and my battery's just about dead on my phone, so I get to plug this in and keep rolling on. So getting ready to crawl under it to loosen the exhaust manifold bolts where they meet the exhaust pipes and start it on the motor mounts. But I just had to show you this. This is actually, I knew this truck was in good shape, being a California truck, but I was really surprised to see this. I'm going to click off and turn it back on underneath there and see if I can point it out to you. So that is factory primer on the bottom of the rail on the floor pan here. See if I can point it out. Right here. That's all factory red oxide primer. And now it's nice and clean, courtesy of getting an oil bath for the last 1,000 miles. The body mounts to the floor, these are in fantastic shape. Even the body bushings are in great shape. I saw some other body bushings under here too, and knew that they were in really good shape. So the floor pans are absolutely solid. The cab corners on this thing are absolutely solid. The bottom of the firewall and the toe board area, rock solid. So I am really, really happy to see all of that with this car. It's my makeshift garbage bag hanging on the mirror. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to disconnect the exhaust pipes and we're going to roll on. One more thing about these trucks. 1960 to 62 Chevy trucks had a torsion bar suspension. You go to a cross member right back there with two big keys, one on each side. You can actually raise and lower the ride height of the suspension with those. My understanding is that Chrysler sued them because Chrysler was the torsion bar king back then, and their cars have been torsion ride since I think '57. So after losing the lawsuit, Chevrolet went to coil spring in '63, and that same general coil spring design was used right up until '87, I believe. So you can swap in a coil sprung suspension with just like 6 bolts. The whole cross member swaps in. It's a really good design. But these torsion bars ride fantastic. Yay, the cavalry has arrived. So Daniel and Brittany from Resurrected Garage pulled in about 5 minutes ago, and Daniel's taking a look at the exhaust manifold bolts. He brought an impact, so hopefully we will not snap off exhaust manifold bolts. Fortunately, they've been coated in oil, so they should be relatively easy to get off. All right, what time is it? Anybody know? I don't know. We don't know what time it is, but the engine is ready to pull. Daniel and Brittany from Resurrected Garage got here probably about an hour and a half ago. I did not have the engine completely ready to pull out like I'd hoped, but it just wasn't going to happen anyway. I was bragging earlier about the original French locks. Oh my God, what a pain in the butt to get off. But the bolts, we really thought that we were going to snap both off of the bolts, and we didn't. They were almost finger tight, just a little better than finger tight. What we could not get loose is the exhaust pipe off the collector. So what we've decided to do is just leave the exhaust manifolds in here and drop the new engine in between it. So, and then there's the hoist, and there is the Rent-A-Big block. So spun over, it's got compression, it's got the starter on it. I've got a brand new water pump, so we're probably going to drop that on it too. We're not sure exactly when this engine ran last, but it's got compression like it's supposed to, so we will get going.
I hear something.
Yeah, I do too. It's on the...
Oh.
What?
Maybe it when that dipstick to you.
Oh, nope. Didn't.
Oh, we go like that way along. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, that's what was making all of the
Cool.
This one, we need to drain this. We either need to drain it in your antifreeze jug or even. Mostly because it's going to continue. See, this is really this. It's broke out.
Yeah.
It's going to continue doing that, like, and at a minimum, it's going to like make the world's worst mess in the truck.
There.
I've done these before without taking it
lift it up back up there for it. That's fine. Move it down, and then when we need to put it up, we can put it up.
I'm gonna wait. Yeah, let's make a huge mess of it.
Materials up down. All right, I'll go get a pan.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold your hand. I was trying to stick like this stuff up here.
Doing that.
So we got the clutch. We got the engine out, and we got the clutch out. And Daniel and I were just having a discussion about the pros and cons of having that little dust shield on the bottom of the bell housing. I've always liked them. Daniel has always vehemently hated them. And he told me before we got it out that it was a fantastic place to pull rats' nests out of, because unless you drive the thing all the time, rats will crawl up in there and make nests. I've never seen it. He says he's seen it a ton of times. And this is the bottom of the clutch. You can see rat nest remnants in the back of the flywheel. And you can see rat nest remnants up in here. So we now have to clean all this out, because not only is it disgusting, it's a fantastic way to start a fire. And I think that's one of the things that we would like to not do this trip.
Yeah.
Yay, hantavirus. This is the half of the rat's nest that was in the clutch that didn't blow away, because it's like gusty and cold and miserable here. So yeah, and that's a fairly large screwdriver for scale. So yeah, I am now fully in his camp and will never have a dust shield on any transmission I own again, ever.
Yeah,
Oh, I do feel bad about this. But maybe not too bad. I'm not sure if it got into the pan rail or not. But anyway, that's where she came out. And the other thing that was very interesting, I know it had oil in it, but we had absolutely no oil in the canister when we emptied it out. So this thing didn't have any oil pressure. It'll be interesting to see if, when I get home, if the oil pickup tube was plugged up. I've heard of that before.
interesting. I believe you got a water jacket with that rod.
You think? Well, the block is junk. Unless they had a blown in yet. And there's no oil in it. There we go.
There's very little oil in it.
That milkshake does not bring up the voice to the yard.
It's not even a milkshake. It didn't actually run after it did that.
No.
So it wasn't a bonus gasket. It was definitely
Yep.
this first.
Yeah. Damn, I feel bad about that.
I mean, it is what it is.
No, I know.
The other one has that kind of balance on
The clutch disc actually looks really good. The flywheel looked really good. The one thing that we didn't have was a clutch alignment tool, so we went in and found one in a clutch kit, and we're borrowing it, and then we'll put it back in the clutch kit. Thank you, O'Reilly's. So we've got the old engine out, clutch is bolted on, the Loaner 402. We're draining the oil out of it. The oil looks good, old but good. So we're going to see how fast we can stab this in. On a side note, this guy over here has been changing an alternator in his Honda since about 20 minutes after I got here today. So, old big block, Honda alternator. Big block engine swap, Honda alternator. This is why you drive old cars and trucks. Am I pulling it straight up?
Yeah, pull it.
Nope.
No, you're moving it.
That's not moving.
It rolled like almost all the way down. It's barely off. Let me get the pry bar back in there so I can get more clearance.
Got it.
Okay. Alright, you can tighten up. Tighten this one back up. And then we put the others in.
That wire is foobar.
That was the wire they added for the starter.
Oh.
It's not a fake.
Big chunk of trash too, not just like.
Yeah, this is the breather on the valve cover that was giving us the problems. Oh, that's big garbage.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The first time I sprayed it out, and the second time that we both did in video was that bad also.
I wonder if going in from the backside to flush it the other way.
Flows now,
Damn.
like completely free flows.
It doesn't gurgle.
Yeah, no, that completely free flows.
Very nice. So here it is in its new hole. The exhaust manifolds came off incredibly easy. I am just shocked. We thought that we'd have to worry about breaking off the bolts. They all came off real well, although those French locks that I absolutely was impressed with, they made life miserable. That was the biggest problem, was getting those off. Once they broke loose, and they broke loose with just a little bit of pressure, they were almost finger tight. Sadly, it took over an hour to get this exhaust manifold back on. We couldn't unbolt them from the exhaust pipe, so we just unbolted them from the block and set the block down between them. This manifold still has to be buttoned on. It really shouldn't be a problem now that the exhaust system is kind of pulled forward, lined up by the other one. The heads look really, really nice. I've got a real good feeling about this engine. Everything seems tight. They've got a quadrajet gasket here at the parts store, so we'll get that on tomorrow. We'll have to swap the thermostat housing with the one off the donor motor. We swapped the starter off the donor motor to this starter because it was a bell housing mount versus a block mount. So this engine came with a block mount on it. This engine had Mickey Thompson valve covers on it. They did not clear the firewall, so we cleaned out the valve covers, the stock ones, and we're going to put those back on, which makes me a little bit nervous, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's about it. So we're going to pack up and go find a nice warm motel room and come back tomorrow morning and hit it again when it's a few degrees warmer from the sun being up, if nothing else. It is, hey Daniel, what time is it?
10.
It is 10 o'clock on Sunday night. We've got the engine in. We've got one exhaust manifold on. We just got back from eating dinner. It is horrendously cold. We ran out of steam and enthusiasm. We've got a full belly, and now we are tired. So we're gonna pack it up for the night. We're gonna spend the next hour cleaning up all of our mess and putting our tools away and such. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna get a carburetor on it, hook up the other exhaust manifold, test fire it to make sure that there's no nasty gremlin noises in it. And then I expect that will go very well. and then we'll button it up and hit the road.